Do wanna 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 do wanna. Hello, everyone, all 10 of you. Welcome to another live stream. We got a less than usual participation, but that's okay. I didn't give much warning. This was kind of off the cuff. And, well, it's a weekday and people rightfully have more important things to do. I am seeing the usuals in the Cosman Cafe online: Oreosaurus, Cyborg, Spinosaur, Hayden, Lorelei. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you can all hear me all right. Hello, says everyone. Nick Howard. Finally, I caught a stream live. Yes, thank you. So there's a CM Cosman fan server on Discord. I'm gonna need to set up Discord again and log in just to see how that is going. Kof the Huff. Hello, Rabbi Kozeman. Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Marcio Mendonza. Hello, everyone. Hello, broadcasting again from the south of Turkey in Muğla province. First day of August. Summer went by so fast. Today, I called it the Live Questions podcast because, well, let's not kid ourselves. We're going to be talking about speculative evolution and shit again, but I think maybe we can spice it up with some like real life questions about, I don't know, like love, life, work, family stuff, relationship stuff, who knows. I may have some interesting things to offer you and maybe some interesting ways to make a bigger fool of myself, but yeah. Let's wait for everyone to percolate. 10 people turned to 15. We got more people coming in from like all over the world, landing their spaceships, parking, and getting a corner at the CM Cosman Cafe, the OG creature cantina of the cyberspace. Hello, Fernando. Nick Howard says he's much more attractive than you'd think from his voice. Ow! Thank you. Well, yes, I've been enjoying 3 weeks of uninterrupted sun, salt, sea, and wind. One of my beauty tricks is just to take a shower in the morning. Then, after I go swimming, oh, I let the sun bake my hair and the salt stay on it. So fresh. Top Hat Purple says they're going to get a hamster soon. Nice. Salt water indeed is magic for the hair and skin. I mean, I was kind of growing bald, and let's not kid ourselves, it still is there, but I feel younger. Yeah. Okay, it's been 3.5 minutes. Lorelei is going to be turning 21 in 10 days. What sign does that make you? Surfer hair Cosman. Yes, there's a nice public beach in the place I live, and I just go there in the afternoon after I do my day job stuff and after I'm done painting. I just go there and just swim out. It's an alluvial beach, so it's kind of shallow for a long distance. Just swim, 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 and then spend another 10 minutes swimming back, sometimes crawling back. It's a nice feeling. Mr. Koza Male. That's the new politically correct way to say Koza Man now, maybe. Maybe. Happy birthday to Lorelei Sinai. Now there's nothing in the United States you won't be able to do. All right, we got 24 people. Wow, okay. I was Koza Mensch, says Rea Lavi. And I also know what the mensch means in Hebrew or let's say Israeli or Jewish culture, also in New Yorker culture. Well, I hope I can be a mensch to some people in this life. What can I say? Yiddish, yes, Yiddish is a root word of the word mensch, and it's what Jewish people say to someone who's like a real stand up guy, basically. I'm just an esoteric fantasist, come to think of it. I mean, there have been times where I have done what's necessary and gone above and beyond the call of duty. That's somewhat personal, though, and yeah. Yes, Benny says Mensch also means human in German. I think Yiddish is a derivative of the German language. So, in a way, it's a way to say you're a real human being and a real hero. Wow, this isn't this amazing? Isn't this glass shit just amazing? Take a look. Well, what can I say? Ah, when I want to sing, I always forget what to sing. Do you know the artist Ernst Fuchs says Ghostface? Barely and briefly. I'm more familiar with Max Ernst, who's like a great and inimitable German surrealist. I'm Batman. Okay, now our channel, despite having a core small following, has really evolved its own vernacular. Because Oreosaurus says, no, not kill potato. And I have no idea what this means. Absent Fish has some, okay, since this is the live stream, now we're like officially on. Absent Fish says, my sister in law and I were enjoying after dark swims, but we had to finish these activities because my sister stepped on a sea urchin. But I would say, since this is the live stream, I'll give you some risky life advice. Go to swim again. When you hit your foot on a sea urchin, don't stop because statistically you're less likely to hit one now. It actually happened to me. Well, I stepped on a sea urchin with my beast foot, okay, and all of this toe was like covered with spikes. It's the most orgasmic event when you pull out the spike and this dirty accumulated blood comes gushing out. It's like it feels like a medieval bloodletting and it feels just great. I love the feeling. So, yes, risk the sea urchins. Hope you're having a great summer wherever you are, by the way. Oh, come on, it's just a foot. Yeah, it's just an artifact. Exactly. I have such a cavalier attitude to certain kinds of risk. Like, okay, I don't go speeding on a highway, or you probably will never see me like mainlining drugs, okay? Or, no gift giving activities or shit like that. But when it comes to manufactured or like certain concepts of risk are actually disgusting class boundaries in disguise. So, like sunscreen, you gotta wear sunscreen. Get fucked. I mean, not you, but you people don't stay that long in the sun, and it's just a way to sell you product, just a way to scare you and sell you products and services. Squidlord says they have an anti-foot fetish. Sorry, if that is the case, my feet must have horrible effects because I have shown this before. One of my feet is actually so grossly misshapen. Fortunately, there's no like loss in function. There's actually a gain in function because it can like this bad boy can like grab stuff. My the thumb on this foot is semi-opposable, so weird. Yeah. Bartholomew of the Botfly says, I love skin cancer. Okay, unless you live in certain parts of the Australia and you're out and about every day of the week, working for 8 hours or more under the sun, statistically, it's just a cosmetic class difference thing. Can't everyone kind of grab things with their feet? Yes, but not like this. Maybe I can show you. What kind of life questions are you planning on answering? Okay, see Cyborg hit on a great note. I won't do you any stupid foot tricks today, but since most of you are from an earlier generation or later generation than I am, just I mean, if there's anything you're like struggling with relationships, job prospects, future stuff, let's talk about those and maybe I can bring my interesting perspective to bear. 21 people on. Wow, in half an hour's notice, I'm so charmed. In half an hour, I can gather 21 people. That's nice. Vicky Feet about to have a field day with this stream. Well, okay, I'll stop the foot shenanigans here. But I can like literally like walk over a crisp packet and like imagine these are my feet and just go chuck and like in less than half a second transfer the stuff from the ground to my hands through my beast foot. So that's one of my rare and mysterious talents. Lorelei says, it's been daunting thinking about how to pursue a career lately. And from our acquaintance, I know you're just graduating, just graduating from college, I think. And everybody in the world feels this way. At least you're in the States, so there are more opportunities to retrain, and overall society is less cliquey, even though the United States does have its unseen class borders. So I think the trick is just to keep plugging at it. And when the online job search gets you down, go out to the real life and just have some off time in the real world. See, like immerse yourself, go to a mall or like a promenade or wherever you have, and just immerse yourself in a society of people. Because when you're like looking for jobs or anything online, it's actually quite depressing because you don't meet people. And there's just something nice when there are people around you, even if you don't interact with them, it has a healing property. Nick Howard says, I should start writing short form fiction again. Lurker, Turtle Man, and Precursor, these are my short stories, are some of the best science fiction I've read. Anthropology sprinkled with human heart. Thank you. Well, actually, if you support me on patreon.com, there's a entirely new short story called The Alms Pillar, in which some explorers go to a weird land and encounter some strange phenomena. Support me on Patreon and you can download that story and read it for free. Ghost Squidlord asks, thoughts on anti-natalism, based or not based? I actually have a huge respect for anyone who can raise a kid in these days. And anti-natalism, I don't think it's something you can have as a position. Look, you either have kids or don't. And the more one yaps about these things, like I've seen people who don't stop talking about their goddamn kids and they have the worst life. They have divorces, their lives fall apart, they have a horrible time. So maybe having kids was not the best thing for them. But then again, I've known people who are like, especially guys in their 20s, this is ridiculous. They're like, I'm not going to have no kids. It's for like losers. I'm out to do something. And then look in 2 years and it's going, baby, look, baby, picked up the ball. And they're very happy. So this is one of those areas you should not say anything sharp about. And certainly, like, as a political movement, I think its effects are zero. It's just like some self-aggrandizing. Even though personally I don't have kids, I don't think I ever will have them, but it's a personal thing. The moment you turn this into a political talking point, you're kind of showing off a little. And don't worry, real life with like the cost of living crisis and housing crisis and everything, real life does a hell of a better job at limiting populations than antinatalism does. And when people like me and you get old, we're going to be living in a very different world. Very, very different world. You will see a lot of people from the fringes of the society actually becoming like wealthy, dominant, and maybe people from your background, I'm not pointing to anyone in general, will be sidelined. So these next 5 to 6 decades, they're actually in places like Turkey, time for people who grew up in lucky class environments to come to grips with their privilege and just ease that transition for themselves, if not anyone else. Ghostface says, I lost a friend to incel propaganda. Really sorry about that. I have a close friend, maybe he's listening. He's slightly buying into that stuff because he had a like really awful relationship experience. He had a bad number done to him. But look, these things with incel propaganda and shit, I don't think many people in my community are in the risk of ever contracting that memetic disease. But let me tell you this much about incel propaganda. These things are based on these common tropes that men and women have for each other, and it's been on for years. When I was a kid in the 80s, there was this thing called men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And in the 70s, there was a whole concept called the battle of the sexes and stuff. So it's like it's been an inseparable part of popular culture. I'm sure if you read some stuff from like Roman or Greek times, people are also griping about. I remember reading it in Pliny the Elder's Natural History. Like he's talking about like eels fucking snakes and stuff like that. And in one paragraph, completely out of the blue, he says things like, "Oh, our women are like getting so spoiled and like materialistic now. They have got this fashion of wearing gems in their toes. What the hell is this world coming to?" So this is like Pliny the Elder in God knows when. And it's just like these incels complaining about it. Women are materialistic. Blah, blah, blah. Women are hypergamous. And it only like if you got this iota of a character, these stereotypes are somewhat real about men and women. If you got an iota of a brain, you will see that a lot of the tropes these incel bastards apply to women I also apply to men. They say women are like hypergamous. Well, also they are chasing women who look like models. None of them would go like. None of them would want a girl next door type with a normal body type, normal body weight, or like. And also, don't forget, women always are expected for some reason by these incel shits to put on makeup and look like a porn star all the time. Have you ever put on makeup? God damn it. Have you ever spent half an hour or like 10 minutes in front of a mirror applying this bullshit paint to your face? Why? Because society wants you to look that way. If man had this like little expectation, half of what's expected from women, they'd be bitching and moaning like bitches. So yeah. And I won't go too hard on incels. Like, don't listen to them. That's all. We got many comments. Okay. Benny says incel propaganda is so bad. Incel propaganda, somebody is asking, I'll just be proper and describe it. I'll just be pedantic about it. Basically, incel means involuntary celibate. It means guys who can't get women and are bitter about it. And it's a big problem in Western society just because a lot of men are shit. They got shit role models, shit mothers who helicopter parent them and cater to their every need. Or sometimes the mother figure actually is absent. So the man grows up wanting to revenge fuck his mother and then becomes an incel. There are many, many pathways down that spiral. And let's not pollute this stream with any more discussion. Less said about them, the better. Would you give some advice on how to get yourself out of a slump? I recently got out of military in January, and I'm struggling to get out of a depressing mindset, not having a mission. First of all, Nick Howard, my really honor, respect goes out to you. I assume you're in the United States, and if I was an American, I would oppose all the wars, but I would have infinite respect for every serviceman and servicewoman. I mean, it really is something that not many people would be willing to put up with. It's also a perspective that I may not be able to I will be able to relate to it, but there might be things about it that I am colorblind to because I just haven't had that experience. And you mentioned you are looking for a mission, and I can maybe relate in some way. Back long time ago, I was out of a relationship and it did not end well. And once again, I was looking for a mission. And I think the key to do this is to, I'm not colorblind, it's a metaphorical figure of speech. The key to getting out of a slump is deconstructing the routines that you miss or the absence of which hurts you, and then reconstructing new routines. For example, I don't know, I cannot prescribe anything directly, but try to maximize moments of human contact. Try to go out of your comfort zone. And I'm not saying anything like, go to the seaside or something. I mean, there might be possibly bottlenecks in terms of money and time and finances, but try to retrain for something you never trained before. And that always makes people feel fresh. Also, don't forget, it's okay to just do nothing for a year or two. People really overlook this in this day and age. You stop for 6 months, they call you a loser. Get fucked. People used to do nothing for years and then get back to life. So I say, if you're ever in a slump, deconstruct old routines, construct new routines, try to find new avenues in life, and sometimes it's okay to do nothing because you're actually not doing nothing. You are thinking, regrouping, you're realigning parts of your personality in your head. So that's that. Another thing about doing nothing. One of my favorite authors, Lewis Mumford, he has this quote saying 7 days of doing nothing can teach more to an American than 7 years in Tibet or some other bullshit meditation space. Especially Americans are really badly stricken in this way. Mediterranean people, they enjoy a good nothing every now and then. But Americans, you always have to be on the move, or society forces you to feel that way, down to the parents and relatives and friends. Sometimes when I had these bad days, I would just there was a park in my neighborhood where it was a place where I never went to really. So I would not take a phone, maybe just take one book and just spend one day there, just doing nothing. After 3 hours, your brain starts thinking differently and you feel really fresh. You realize that you're not dying and it feels so relieving. So, do nothing, but also don't bring a smartphone. If you're artistic, maybe bring a pen and paper, but no smartphones, no computer, no connections, except the ones you directly have with the world. Sit on a bench, watch people from sunset to sunrise to sunset. Thank you, brother, says Nick Howard. Thank you, man. And also, finally, never forget, everybody has fucking dark times. I've had them, you've had them, everybody has them. Cyborg says not having a smartphone saved my vacation so much. Yeah, especially on a vacation, especially if you're not working. Chuck those devices. Get one of these button boys. Come on. They're all right. Joseph says, please respond to my comment up above. Well, there's so many comments. I cannot see it. Please type the comment and I will respond. Looking at some questions. Thoughts on us, US telling UFO? Well, I was gonna do a big big investigation video about that, but the agenda is changing fast. I think that one guy, Grosh, was bullshitting, and I don't know why they are doing this. But a lot of people who are skeptics says it's to cover up ongoing stuff, but I don't buy this. It sounds like such a Turkish excuse. Like Turkish leftists are also like that. If something happens, there's they're covering up the real. But no, that's not how media works or people work. People will think about the ongoing shit and they will think about the UFO. Don't belittle people so much. They'll still think about the UFO, but also complain about the rising prices. That doesn't work that way. Maybe it's some DOD like bullshit. I don't know. But it's also plausible. I think there are genuinely unknown phenomena in the atmosphere that these radars are capturing. But maybe they're not alien ships, but things like ball lightning, but in a different guise, basically. And there are lots of phenomena that science doesn't explain, such as earthquake lights. Before and during an earthquake, this is very well documented. There are these enormous lights in the sky. Nobody knows what they are or what makes them. So maybe they're connected to the Earth's crust. Maybe it's a discharge of energy from the core. Who knows? So there might be regions in which this energy discharge happens and radars mistake it for moving balls or shit. And for the United States Air Force or Navy, that is a legit concern because they want to be on the lookout for shit in case they have another embarrassing Chinese balloon moment. So, yes. C Cyborg says, earthquake lights are just my form of leaking into this world. My bad, really. Well, if they are your form, I wish you could also do something about preventing earthquakes. One of them killed more than 60,000 people in my home country this year. It's really bad. Let's check some messages. Just a second, everybody. Just a second. I have an online friend who wants to learn the link to this awesome gathering we're having, and I'm just gonna copy and paste. All right. Have you ever seen any UFOs? Says Geo San. I saw a UFO moving like a mosquito on water. That's a very beautiful description, by the way. Very, very beautiful description. And well, I have never seen a real UFO. Once I think I saw a kind of meteor strike, maybe. It was late at night and there was a shooting star, and over the horizon there was a green flash. I don't know what that was, but that was really weird. But the way you describe it, you say it's moving like a mosquito on water. I think it could really be some like earth electrical discharge in the form of a spark, and it's like, but that across a landscape of miles, and maybe that would explain the amazing speed these things have. Dirk One says some all tomorrow stuff, but we don't discuss that until the book comes out. Let's see. So daunting about how to pursue a career lately, says Lorelei Sinai. I had these things when I was first working too. It's not easy, but eventually you find your groove. Just know that it takes a long time. That's all. Popular explains the meteor sighting I had, and he confirms that some meteors do burn green. Okay, okay. What do you think about Therizinosaurus biology and behavior? Therizinosaurus is this dinosaur with these amazingly long claws. The latest Jurassic movie had a horrible version of it walking around, basically. If you buy my book with John Conway and Darren Naish, All Yesterdays, you can see exact rendition of my thought. It basically was, I think, like a giant bird trying to imitate a giant ground sloth and occupying a roughly similar niche. Niche. Did you see the Adam Driver movie 65? No, and I have no plans on seeing that, not even on Pirate. Victorian says, any advices for an Anatolian type high school? I'm assuming this person is from Turkey, and in the Turkish education system, after you move from elementary school, you can choose a variety of schools. The government tries to push some sort of religious schooling down most people's throat, but if you have good grades, you can go to these things called Anadolu Lisesi, which means Anatolian high schools, which are these like high achieving K-12 grade schools. My whole advice can be summed up in two bits. Learn English really well, the way I speak it. Not that I'm great with it, but be able to joke in it and do research in it and study in it and think in it. That's number one. And number two, don't get caught up on people's cliques. People form really disgusting cliques in high school in Turkey. And they basically suck up all the life, creativity, social endeavor. They hold each other down. It's one of the not so nice things about this like gummy culture we have down here. I once swear I saw a creepy creature of the night, says Dear Kwan. What was it like? Victorian says, I hope math is not so hard. Yes, focus on social studies if you're not a mathematically minded person. Okay, so apparently in the Adam Driver movie 65, there are some like weird dinosauroid like strange creatures that kind of might be considered to be spec evo. Okay, maybe I'll give it a watch. Okay. What about carnivorous predatory sloths? Says Fernando Catecaux. Well, maybe more likely than possible because we already have a form of armadillo adapted for predatory existence. Let me just look it up. So it's called Macroeuphractus. 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 Cool name. And it's just basically kind of like imagine a huge armadillo trying to be a Wolverine, and you get the idea. So if armadillos that did that trick, maybe ground sloths may have done it too. Lorelei Sinai, there are so many underrated Cenozoic mammals. Well, I think you would know more of them than I do because Lorelei is a great specialist in lesser known marine mammals. What are you holding in your hands? I am holding the key to your future. I'm holding a mic. That's what it is. It's the goddess Fearmic, says Sea Cyborg. Oh, we got 22 people in here. Let's do a roll call. Let's do a whole represent kind of thing because I really like that. Everybody now ponder the microphone and let us all know which part of the world you are from. Nicholas Conradson says he's from England. Represent. Sydney, Australia. Oreosaurus. I'm from the Netherlands, says Dirkwan. Lorelei is from Southern California. Portugal. Hayden is from Northern California. We got the California bingo complete. Clam James says, I'm Irish. Let's go Irish. Notre Dame. Germany represent El Salvador. Nice part of the world. Nice. Joseph says message retracted. I don't know what's going on there. Emily is from Canada. Nice to see you, Emily. Hello, hello, hello. Oceanside, California, USA. Tonya is from Turkey. Hello, Tonya. One of my many Turkish lurkers, I think. Sweden, Stockholm, says Dajunyar. Hello. Benny's from Germany. Popular, waiting for the dentist in San Diego at 81 degrees. Lublin, Poland, Bartomilo of the Botflies. Absentfish says the land of the Black Mountains. Are you referring to the Carpathians and thus maybe Romania? I don't know. Or Montenegro, maybe. Back in Finland, says Alex. Hello. Brazil, we have Marcio Mendoza. Paleo says, I'm Chamorro and Portuguese. California represent. Where fresh water meets the salt water, New York. Nice, Cyborg. Let us now do a on Northern Marianas Islands. Wow. All right, let us take some more questions now then. I'm so happy to be speaking to all of you from all over the world. Poland. Fernando says, I hate inconsistency in stories. When an author establishes something cool but then refutes it, I really don't like that, you know. Well, sometimes it be like that sometimes, but sometimes too much consistency can also be limiting. Like if you knew, for example, the original 2001 novels from Arthur Clarke, these are like 2001, Space Odyssey, then there are the sequels to 2010, 2061, and 3001. They're linear sequels, but there are some details of the universe different in each one. And Arthur Clarke once wrote that he kind of did it on purpose. They're like sequential parallel universes. you can still get the story from start to finish in a series, but a lot of things kind of don't mesh up. But that's okay too. YouTube Joseph says, please stop ignoring me. My good friend, I've never ignored you, but when you comment things, I just see the message says miss message redacted. So maybe you're using a word that's banned. I don't know, but I just can't see what you're saying. We got an insect in the house. Yes, you're commenting again, YouTube Joseph, but all I see is this thing that says message retracted. One final thing, if Joseph says, I did the message retracted thing on purpose, why? Just write your message and I'll read it. And this is the last I'll say on the subject. Don't be offended, okay? Benny says, I have a career question here. I find hard to decide what to study when I have many interests. My teachers tell me not to pursue art because I'd likely become poor, but that just feels wrong. Okay, I'll have some real answers for this thing because I get asked this question so many times in real life and in online interactions. I'll just like, you don't have to answer this, but if your family is well off, if you got means in which, like, imagine you're in your 40s or stuff, you at least have a little house you can live in and not pay rent. Or if your family is like really wealthy, that's a whole other story. If your family can help you keep your head above water, study art. If not, maybe focus first, prioritize something vocational. Doesn't even have to be college. It could be like getting vocational training for, I don't know, whatever you want. But it's one of the most disgusting things about life growing up. You see how many things are due to class differences. People's range of motion, like chess pieces, they're all determined mostly by class conditions. And I'm not talking about class in a Marxist sense. I'm just talking about like what your parents did and what they have and what you have. And that's just a sorry, sad side of life. So, in some ways, secure a roof over your head. Then, if you really have like a creative passion, you can limit your expenses and do sorts of some sort of lean living thing and then be happy that way. That's what I'm trying to do with my life sometimes. Cyborg says trade studying is always good, studying to become an electrician. Yes. Look, we talked earlier in this podcast about how there are big demographic changes on the way. And when those happen, a lot of jobs, a lot of white collar jobs will not have any meanings anymore. If you're like a manager or like some mid-level account manager, something like that, that's not going to save your ass. What's going to save your ass will be able to like how to repair a cabinet, how to put together electrical wiring and stuff. And I wish I had those trainings too. I can always go back and retrain. So there. Nicholas Konradsen says, Mr. Cozy Man, do you have any interest in traditional music or instruments? What are your thoughts about music? I have a very omnivorous musical taste. I have a good voice, but I know better than to say I am a good singer because there are like people who really sing are in a different league. I'm one in a I have an interesting whistling talent. I can do I can do a vibrato and I can hit perfect notes when I'm whistling, but that's okay. In terms of instruments and traditional instruments, I'm a huge fan of traditional Turkish music in both forms as türkü and also in Türk sanat müziği, which is the more upscale music Turkish people just copied from their Byzantine forebears, let's say. So yeah, there's a lot of conversation going on about how obscure animals taste like, and I don't know. Geo-san wants me to do the whistle from Kill Bill. Oh, you mean this one? I'm not gonna do that annoying whistle song. I just hate that song. They made it into this disgusting club remix. I hate it. So I'll sing other songs from the Kill Bill soundtrack. Fernando Katekaik says, I want to make a gutter cleaning service. I have a service for you. If you like animals and like weird insects and stuff, and if you live in like the Midwestern United States or in Australia, you can have like a snake rescue or a lizard rescue operation and basically be on call in the suburbs and just remove snakes that get into people's homes. And in places like Florida, Phoenix, there are a lot of old people with a lot of money. And you could say, like, I don't know, $250 to remove a rattlesnake. You would rescue the animal and get paid. So that's a nice thing. I get the funniest questions. Do you think Bhutan was still mountainous in the prehistoric times? Because it's 98% mountains now, says Paleo J. Well, back when in prehistoric times? Who knows? You got to study fossils in Bhutan. I don't know anything about those. Then they'll tell you the last time when it was not mountainous. Look, everybody's talking about jobs. I wish one of the things that college taught was basically they talk about all sorts of stuff in college, but there must be at least 2 years of education, regardless, even if you're studying quantum physics or mathematics or gender studies, they should have this 2 year core curriculum: how to pay taxes, how to form a company, how to form a limited liability company, how to basically register for tax, like all these things in the background that people do to earn their money. You learn later on, but you must learn these in college, and they would give you a tremendous advantage. I mean, if I was in the States, I would buy a like beat up $500 Toyota car, maybe make a personal company and register the car under that company so you don't pay tax on it, and then use it as a kind of traveling snake rescue operation. It would be a nice job. Let us ease about questions about. I'm using my dictatorial fiat. I will say, let's ease on the questions about eating animals, okay? Okay, nice question. Solon asks, recently Turkish had its own alphabet in Ottoman times. How many can how many Turkish people can read in the old script? The Turkish language was written in Arabic letters in a unique way, and it was changed as recently as 1928 when Turkey adopted the Latin alphabet. And I think this was like the best reform that Turkey's secular founding father Kemal Atatürk did. Basically, even if the country goes conservative, they put us in touch with the West in a way that people will never be able to undo, in a way. So I consider this a good thing. But then again, you lost a lot of knowledge that had been building up prior, especially the Ottoman. Like I have big dictionaries of Ottoman Turkish to contemporary Turkish, and they had so many more words to describe everything. Like the sound of an instrument was described as tannan ses, tannan being an adjective that is no longer used. but it means basically a kind of timbrous voice. Now you don't have we lost many finer points in describing arts, language, philosophy, daily life. And I would also argue that because of this language, like this alphabet shift and the subsequent purging of Ottoman words, people's like mental finesse lost some fine-tuned edges. So there, it was a great change with different effects. Let me just say that much. Are you more interested in pan-Turkic cultures or Mediterranean cultures, says Spinotsar? Mediterranean for sure. There's a big drive in Turkey among young people to embrace some sort of newfangled pan-Turkism, and I don't blame them for that. It's basically a reaction against the conservative government, which has identified it indelibly with being religious and a conservative. But now they have become so tainted with scandals and corruption that nobody wants to identify as a Muslim conservative anymore. But so they embrace some sort of pan-Turkism. But I have to say, like, I've studied this thing. A lot of stuff they're prattling out there, they're just not real. And if you study Turkish culture, owes more to Ottoman culture, which owes more to Byzantine culture, which owes more to Romans, and then the antiquity. And there are traditions in contemporary culture which are directly linked to traditions in Roman days or ancient Greek days. And even on those ancient times, Anatolia had its own kind of unique cultural aspects. If you study gravestones left over from Hellenistic era in Turkey, the kind of things they aspire to are like one to one the same. They want to have a happy family, land, fruit, and these are like pagan Hellenistic people. You go to Ottoman days, and the fruit and the plants are still represented in Ottoman gravestones. And if you go to villages, you still have carvings of people. Now, the Pan Turkist says these are holdovers of the Baal tradition from Central Asia, but goddamn, if you look at any Hellenistic tombstones, you see what I am talking about. This is not to deny that Turkish people are Turkish. There's this whole other annoying ultra liberal revision of local history that says there are no Turks in Turkey, but we're all just like some Greeks and Armenians who have been unknowingly converted. That smacks of bullshit too. It's clear to see that Turkish people entered Anatolia as like extremely based and well-functioning uh, military commanders and governors. And if you look at Turkish people in the greater world today, they still make great administrators. I will say that they have this like extremely functional, but also extremely artless and kind of like bumbling way at going at it, but they obtain good results. But they cannot be compared to, for example, British or German administrators, especially the British. If you consider like, if a British person is doing something, he or she has this like crystal cut view of not only what they are doing, but also what they are. So solutions by British people, for example, they take a long time to accomplish, but they're extremely like smooth and well functioning. Whereas the Turkish way of administrating stuff, I mean, they have so much stamina, but they burn through it all. It's like climbing a hill in the first gear. But to their defense, Turkish people are very flexible with ad hoc solutions. Like, for example, a German administrator, if there's like a supply line break, they write like 10 letters and wait for the forms to come back. Turkish people just fucking go to WhatsApp and keep the line functioning as normal. Maybe they don't follow the rules, but they know what they're up to. So in that in that way, they're kind of based. All right. What's your favorite fruit? Says C Cyborg. I'll get some. I think it's peaches now. You should try Mexican candy, says Katekaiks. I I have never eaten any. Okay, let me get some peaches. You ask me some more questions. Let me check my messages too. Okay, now I will get some messages. I really like talking about how different people from different countries or communities approach problems in like daily life, administration, business tasks, stuff like that. I really like that whole avenue of discussion. It's completely unrelated to anything you probably know me for, but that's a whole like nice area to talk and banter about. Be right back. Peach time, motherfucker. Here's the peach, and here's the mouth that's gonna eat the peach. Oh, yes. Mm. Göktuğ Demir says, Bon appetit, afiyetler olsun. Göktuğ Demir is a nice, close Turkish friend. Cheers, my friend. I have some like personal thanks to offer him. In my last stream, I was talking about the Turkish capital city of Ankara and this amazing pub they have there called Kıtır. And in my honor, Göktuğ actually went to that pub and had a glass of beer and sent me a picture doing the whole cheers thing. And cheers to you with tea, my friend. But thank you so much. I did say before I could ease off the ASMR, but being the master of this realm, I can break my rules as well as make them. Mm. Solon asks, why are Turkish dramas so long? And they watched something from Ertuğrul, season 3, episode 74. Yeah. Okay, so one thing you gotta know about Turkish people that basically after centuries and generations of living in misrule, they're extremely hardy. Like a Turkish person works longer hours than any OECD country national, and they work hard, and then they don't complain about it. They're just very stoic. Same goes with Turkish movie production crews. They even until recent they had no insurance. They were paid like pennies, but these people still go from dusk till dawn working on these things, and they just grind, grind, grind. The average drama episodes are very long, longer than an hour mostly. They're extremely protracted, and there's a few reasons for that. One, the producers assume that audiences are dumb and they really need to hammer the messages in. Also, they want more commercial breaks, and they got this dirty trick they do. Like, for example, the movie, okay, imagine it's the last season, and last minute of the episode, and it's this Turkish drama. So I'm like, I'm gonna eat the peach, and there's a woman. You really are. You really are gonna eat the peach, aren't you? You bastard. I knew you were going to eat the peach. And yes, the peach will be eaten by none other than me and not your mother. I knew it. I hate you. I will eat the peach. Yes, you will eat the peach. It goes for like an hour, and then there's the commercial break. And you watch the commercials for half an hour. Then it comes back on. Yes, I will eat the peach. And then its credits start rolling and it ends. They insert a very long commercial break just before the titles start rolling, and people watch it. I know it's like a very annoying, dirty trick they pull. See, Cyborg is tempted to pop open a French wine for tonight. Well, there's no better night. It's a full moon. Go for it. Paleo J says names of capitals in Turkey, Eritrea, and Kazakhstan are so similar. Eritrea has Asmara, Kazakhstan has Astana, Turkey has Ankara. To this list, you can add the national park of Ankarana in Madagascar, but it's just similarities. There's no direct link between these words. All right, many good questions. You talk a bit about your personal mysticism before, says Nick Howard. Is this closer to your particular tradition? And any thoughts on Sufi mysticism and practice? I actually have a lower opinion on Sufism for the simple reason that it's kind of been corrupted by all these new age grifters and wannabes. Also, like things like Sufism and Bektashism, they're basically a way to incorporate dissident non-Muslim populations into a broader scope of Islam in Turkey and in the Anatolian context. And if you study them in this respect, they're actually more political movements with a religious garb. And never forget that in the realm of Islam, politics and religion have really no separation. I mean, in a day and age when you have like the universal convent of human rights and stuff, Sufism that just falls flat. Everybody welcome, it says. Come, we are tolerating you as if you're being righteous. I don't like I don't like that angle. Like I like it that it's respectful and stuff, but it's like, come on, I mean that should be a given already. And they're saying, okay, we probably will not kill you now. How noble of us. But and remember, Sufism also formed when Turks and Islam had just conquered Anatolia, and they were in the business of assimilating enormous non-Muslim populations. So it's natural for some like creed of tolerance to mysteriously erupt in historic times like those. But I will also like kind of backtrack that I haven't read as much on Sufism as I should, and I would be willing to be surprised. Nick Howard says, have you heard of the Sabbatean cult in Turkey? These are Jewish people who converted to Islam. Nick, go to my website, cmcosma.com, go to the book section, and you will see there that I have written 3 English language award-winning historic studies on the Sabbatean community in Turkey. And I am actually a descendant of these people. Aryan Privilege. Okay, that's a sus name. Isn't this the beaked whale video maker? Yes, that's me. Send me a kilogram of chemicals and I'll. Well, the only chemicals I'm having are tea, coffee, and for tonight, some peaches. Şeftalisi, bala benziyor şeftalisi, bala benziyor entarisi, ama benziyor entarisi. Well, if you know, you know, my friends. All right. The Junior says, how old are you? I'm nearly 40 years old. Can you fucking believe it? Fernando asks if Turkish has any words or concepts that can't be translated. I've answered this question before. There are many. The one my favorite is kolay gelsin, which you say to a person when they're working and they're having a tough time. You just basically say, may it be easy for you, which means I sympathize with you. I see what you're going through. Or it can even mean I got your back. Really cool phrase that the sort of madly production oriented cultures of our world seem to lack. I've been asked about the etymology of the word yam yam. Let's look that up. It probably may have some like French connections too. Wait, let's look it up. I'm going to Nişanyan Sözlük, the only repository for Turkish etymology. Nisanyan, well, it's Nisanyan SOZLUK.com. So the word yam yam actually comes from a French or American traveler referring to a tribe in South Sudan who was reputed to have eaten human flesh called the Niam Niam tribe. And because of Sudan's proximity to the Turkish Empire at the time, this word has been taken up by the Turkish language and has come down to the very present day. Apparently, the oldest recorded use of this word, it comes from 1872. People who eat human flesh, all referring to an obscure and probably fictitious tribe in the South Sudan. Have you heard of the Turkish Republic of Cyprus? Yes, I recognize it. It's a legitimate fact on the ground state in the northern part of Cyprus. Turkish invasion of Cyprus. We can talk about this, but if it hadn't been for that bold act, there would have been a Bosnian style genocide there, and the world would have watched. So, one of the most base things that the Republic of Turkey ever did. This is not to say being pro Turkish in Cyprus doesn't mean I'm anti Hellenic. There are many. I Xeroligo Hellenica. I have Greek friends. I've traveled to Greece. I don't think Turkey needs to occupy any part of Greece's land. I'll also go out in a limb and say that. Furkan Eser says, it's an English stream, but hello, my brother. Says, selam abim too. Palio says South Sudan only exists in 2020 as an independent country, but Sudan was a place and it did have a southern part. Come on, don't be so pedantic for Christ's sakes. C Cyborg says they're 18 and they're drinking dry fruity wine called Estadon Insolence. Wow, that's a spicy name. Silence, insolent brat. That sort of stuff. Organic Wolf says, I'm a big fan of your t shirts. Do you have any more plans to make this available? Well, yes, actually. I have a merch store. I should have put it in links. I'll put it in a pinned comment. And I will upload more collections there soon. But the thing with merchandise, if you got a small but dedicated community, you don't make a million things, you make a few very nice things and people buy those. But there will be more designs soon. So, yeah. Hi, says Matt Fuertado. We got 24 people, not a bad turnout. Yes, C Cyborg is having half a cup of wine because they don't like being too drunk. Me too. Any recommendations for sci-fi series which with a good biology ecosystem? Read anything by Jack Vance. That's Vance. He's an all-time genius of um, science fiction, and every book he writes, he builds new worlds, and they're all very well thought out, including in terms of biology. There are some new books with some sort of speculative evolution or alternative evolution as themes in them. I'm thinking about these books by Adrian Tchaikovsky, the Children of Time series, and then he's got another series with intelligent jumping spiders and stuff. I like them, but I still prefer the old masters when it comes to real world building. Dajunyar says goodbye, 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 my friend. Stay safe. Have a nice day. Tonya says, do you know you're at the same age as the country Brunei? Was it also established in 1984? I thought the Sultanate of Brunei was much, much older. Let's look at it. Brunei is always like, there was, I always felt that this country had something weird and corrupt about it. The people there must be nice, but the people ruling it, they seem like very corrupt. Oh, yes, they ceded from the UK in 1984. Okay. They have many foreign immigrants, which kind of means offhand that they use a sort of passport slavery. I don't know. I know I like Malaysia, I like Indonesia, but Brunei, I don't know. As a rule of this podcast, though, I don't like expressing dislike towards anybody or any country. Oreosaurus talks about the board game about evolution again. See, Cyborg asks, were you born with cosmemophobia or did you earn it? I was born with it. I think even one of my oldest memories, there's like a fucking button on the ground and I feel like vomiting trying to touch it. A weird thing is like my paternal grandmother, my father's mother also had this thing. She did not like things like little beads or buttons and stuff. So maybe it's genetic. See, Cyborg says, I have cosmemophilia. Okay, we'll agree to disagree. Heck, I mean, I had times when these like girls with like little bits of jewelry, like, as if someone sneezed in their chest, like they were like really coming on to me, flirting with me. They were like nice, beautiful girls, but I was just so disgusted of their jewelry. I just would not talk with them or just change the subject, do something else. I dislike it so much. Like, I had this one incident where I was in a club and this girl came. I said, "Look, don't get me wrong. You're nice and all, but I just can't look at your bracelets and your jewelry." And then she came with an amazing Parthian shot, a great retort. And she said, like, "Oh, that's too bad. I would have liked to make them shake with you." She said, "Off, off." Then it was too late. I was too righteous about my cosmemophobia. But at least I died with honor. Who knows? Damn, she got you. Okay, yeah, I deserved it, I think. Nick Howard says Balkan and Eastern European Mediterranean nationalism conflicts are always extremely weird from a US perspective, especially one between Greeks and Turks. Hopefully, it goes away forever. I don't think it will ever go away. I don't think it will come to a head, though. I mean, these things, they have this formative phase. Then they have this orgy of violence, which took place actually in terms of Turkey and Greece. It took place during the Turkish War of Liberation. A Greek army committed untold massacres in their advance through Western Anatolia. And then when the Turkish army took back those lands, there was reprisals, and then there was a population exchange. So now they are in the kind of like calmly hating each other from a distance play part of their arc. With Turks and Greeks, I think it's, for example, far worse in places like Bosnia or Kosovo, with all these troubles between Albanians and other nationalities, Serbs. They have it far worse. It will only go away if these people move to the US and become Americans. I mean, then it will be like kind of like shitting back and forth. It will persist for thousands of years. I'm not kidding. Or until there's not a Greek or Turkish nation anymore. And chances are there are 11 million Greeks and 80 million Turks. If you look far enough in the future, in like 800 years or something, I see a future where there are still people who call themselves Turks, but the Greeks are all like senile or extinct. And it will be sad. The Greek language is a great language, and they know how to like make food, enjoy life. They're like a more aesthetically conscious but less politically cohesive version of Turks. Turkish people, like, they can form, like they can like align like a super saturated solution crystal. Like when there's a force from outside, chart, everybody falls into place. And it's a weird, like, I've seen it happen a few times. The most recent in the 2016 coup attempt by the USA, probably. And then everybody like fell in like held ranks, like 300 Spartans. Doesn't matter what you were from. Americans also have a version of this, but I think the only time I saw this was right after 9/11, and mostly for the wrong reasons. Good question from Absent Fish. Oh, got lots of messages. Absent Fish says, "What if you see a crypto UFO? What do you do after that? Will you share it with the world?" That's a very good question. I always walk around with a camera, but if I just see a UFO for like half a minute, I may not be able to like whip it out and deploy it soon. I think I will make a note of where I was and like write things down and what I saw and try to maybe sketch it and do a kind of document. Who knows? Nick Howard says, I have a Macedonian and Greek restaurant right next to each other in my hometown. They're always fighting each other. Yeah, but at least you have some great food. Which restaurant has better food in your opinion, the Greeks or the Macedonians? There are talks about tarantula hawks and stuff. America is a wild place. America, I love America. It's the only other place I would live in. I would go to, I love Britain. I love British culture actually. I love the way the British actually can still like produce, retain, and uphold a sort of high culture. And they ask all the right questions when it comes to science and natural history and philosophy to a degree that even Americans cannot. So the British are cool in that respect. But in terms of living, I think aside from Turkey, the States is the only place I can really live in. Just buy a cheap Toyota, drive around the place. You guys have so much stuff, god damn it. You're so lucky. Macedonian for sure, but my girlfriend is Greek. Well, say hello. So I can't tell her that. Well, okay. I wish you all the happiness. Matt Fuertada says, I just got back from Afghanistan. I'm sorry about Taliban apologists. They are terrible. This is all. So were you in Afghanistan as for like some sort of military duty, or were you one of these like tourists in interesting places situations? I don't know. I mean, what the hell was the US ever trying to do there? If they really wanted to like help the Afghan people, they should just have made carte blanche immigration. All I can say is in that part of the world, there are some very deeply set attitudes to sex, gender, and basically this toxic culture of just guys hanging out with guys and doing guy stuff with. So I don't know. There's a dog barking. Can you hear it? Paleo J23 says, during the scramble of Africa, Italy thought they could get some part of Ethiopia, but Menelik II destroyed them. Yes, this is one of the most based stories, actually. Then Mussolini wanted to avenge this and basically started a whole ugly war down there with like poison gas and shit, and nobody cared until World War II really started in Europe. To this day, because of Mussolini's efforts, there are these like very strange and nice looking modernist buildings in parts of Ethiopia and Somalia. Asmara is actually a big capital for Italian Art Deco architectures. It's bizarre. There was a dog barking. Sea Cyborg asks if I know the dog. Yes, not too closely. Nick Howard says, I was at Kabul airport when we were pulling out our equipment. 20,000, oh, screaming civilians trying to get onto our planes. Yes, it was really hard and awful. And my respect to you for staying true with that and like seeing that through. I think it was a administrative kerfuffle. I think they knew it was going to be a scramble, but they also knew there was no easy way to do this, so they just tore out the band-aid, and the regular people suffered as always. Let's check some messages. An hour and a half almost, so that's nice. Mm, 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 mm. What's your favorite board game, says C Cyborg? Mine is the Royal Game of Ur, referring to this archaeological relic, which is a really cool game. A lot of people around me are like super into board games, and some of these board games are so complicated. There's like a dozen sliders and individual different dice throws, and you put this counter down, and my mind, I don't have patience for those games. I'm not a big fan of like win or lose games to begin with. I don't know, like I draw the line at chess. I think chess is my favorite board game, or maybe something simple like snakes and ladders. Solon is going to bed. Well, I'll take your recommendation. He says, I wish these streams were done earlier. Okay, maybe I'll do some one and a bit earlier, a few days later. Hope you have a good day tomorrow, my friend. Wow, what a night. I mean, I'm really happy we had this ex-military member who was a friend. We talked about life advice. We talked about local cultures. I inevitably ended up talking about Turkish stuff again, which is okay, okay, but really nice, really nice. Thank you all for like making this possible. By the way, as I sometimes say in my videos, it's all thanks to you. Let me ask you a question. What is your favorite non-live stream video ever on my channel? Answers, and I'll read them. Answer now your favorite non-live podcast video in my channel, and then you write down the answer while I leave this stuff and come right back. It's one of the new things I painted this week. I paint non-stop every day. You like it? Yes, thanks for like. Yeah, it's not my favorite. Let me tell you the story behind this. So first, I painted this one with the blank eyes and the red color and everything, and then basically, my mother, in a sort of wine mom kind of moment, says, "I like it, but I wish it was just a portrait." So I painted this, and I don't know. She showed no interest in it after that, but I don't know. All these esoteric art shit, and I'm wearing a Gap T-shirt. But that's how this always rolls. All right. Paleo J offers some amazing geography facts. Okay, let's see your favorite CM Cosman videos. Flat Earth. Yeah, that's a nice one. Too many to list, says Alex. Thank you. Yes, yes. Was the whistling song the kawaii o sound referring to an extinct bird? No. It was my rendition of Susie and the Banshees, Israel. A great song. I love your urban expedition videos, says Hayden. Thank you. More are coming. I actually have a huge, I was filming this. I filmed like 10 hours of footage in this part of Turkey I'm in. Loads of crazy urban expeditions, weird, awkward moments, animals, shit. And I'm just going to edit them next week and you will see. Probably the Carboniferous Grand Hotel, says Popular, referring to one of my audiobook weird stories. Criminal Cryptids or the Panarachnid Giga Special. Nice. I'm making a part 2 of the Criminal Cryptids because I missed some of them. Just stay tuned. Hey, what up, Mr. Kozman, says Thomas Trimple. Thank you, my friend. My favorite was your thing about jinns. It's a topic I rarely hear about anybody but fundamentalist Muslims. Well, yes, there are a lot of jinn lore, but it's all amazing, by the way. Tutorial, turn your spec over projects into books with Microsoft Word. Thank you. Frog extravaganza. Thanks, Emily. Most of EU missiles are launched from... Okay, great. Paleo J, I respect these geography facts, but sometimes they occlude over other friends' points and comments, so maybe slightly dial it down. Although you do say very interesting things. All right. In our paleontology lab at URI, we play your videos sometimes while we work. Ah, fucking hell. So nice. Let's see where URI is. I'm just going to Google this just a second. Now, stuff like this makes my day. Department of... Oh, University of Rhode Island. Wow. If you allow me at the department there, why don't you organize a talk so you can fly me over there? I can come over, give a talk, and keep you guys all engaged. Yeah, this person called Aryan Privilege is saying interesting stuff. I have never... Look, this is a place where everything flies, and you're saying weird things about... I'll buy you the beaked whale texts. Turkey produces odd gray market legal chemical or MPS chemicals. Engineers cannot guess. I sell tiny samples, rare chemicals as I predict on gray. Okay. My good friend, seems like you're engaging in some very rarefied form of trolling. Also, I really disapprove of the name Aryan privilege. You know, you are talking to an ethnic Jew living in Turkey, huh? Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Mm. Well, almost the end of the night. Benny says the cephalopod supremacy edit was also great. Thanks, Benny. We've almost reached 30 people here. Nice. I wonder if I should go full time into streaming. That would be something. Michelle Sadowski says, "Hello, hello, my good friend." Oh, there's a mosquito. Try to sweat it. Anyways, 30 people. We hit a nightly record. Well, okay, let's do one more push. Any questions about life in general that you would like to have me answer? Could be life advice, career advice, love advice, stuff like that. Tonya asks, what do you think about people creating new countries like Liberland in the places that other countries don't want? Are you talking about the whole micronation art thing? A lot of people maybe declare their house as a country and print their silly, like fun currency and make up fake constitutions. It's a nice art form. It was really popular in the early 2000s. I have a friend, Karo Yajian, who was really into micronations. I hope she's listening to this. And hello, Karo, if you are. I'm not too active at this moment, says Ornis, because I'm too full of dolmadakia, also known as dolma, the Greek Turkish shared vegetable dish made out of, I think, wine leaves stuffed with rice. That thing is nice. If you are willing to come to the URI, we'd love to have you. Ooh, the lady who described the helicoprion, that's the spiral jaw weird shark, jaw attachment works here. Grape leaves stuffed with rice, yes. 31 people. So, like, because of budget reasons, if you organize an event and have me as a speaker in your college and pay for my flight, I'd be very happy to come there. Just fly me in and out, maybe a place to stay, and I'm your man. You can sell tickets or like universities have huge budgets, even comparatively. So, yeah. Evil Eye says, how did you get over your fears and insecurities when finding love? Feeling you don't deserve it, you have too much baggage, it isn't moral for you, you're a bad person. When I was lonely, I felt some of these things. I did feel like I did not belong with social people, or like there was something with me that quote unquote social people would reject. But then, basically, at some point in my life, I just went to Charlie Sheen go mode while remaining humble and outwardly like kind to everyone. I just realized that there's not much that could like look, if something really is awful and really hurts me, I'd probably die, And if something kills me, then I probably won't be around to be afraid of it. So it's kind of like no use getting scared. This being said, sometimes every now and then life does hit you with fear, self-doubt, and stuff like that. You just have to learn how to let that wash over you. Like you're in a tank movie and like they shoot you, but the round bounces over. Don't worry. If it gets in, you probably won't feel it. So no need to worry. Also, when finding love, I also had like basically there was a long process that I also learned how to be a proper human being. And there are many things I regret. Each regret taught me in the harshest, strictest way to better up my act and be a better person. And that's how it always goes. Would you ever consider talking about spirit art against as Nick Howard? Of course, but in which aspect? I like almost every day I work on paintings like this. They could be like really big, complicated things. There's some used to be like 3 meters tall or like huge events. These days, after COVID, I don't have a studio I can paint in anymore, so they're usually smaller. I paint on cardboard mostly, but also on watercolor paper or any kind of like. I painted on tickets. I painted on yogurt boxes. I painted on pieces of literally stuff I picked up from garbage. Like this is from like a discarded shoebox or something. Like I just painted and glazed it. Basically, with spirit art, actually, this is like two paintings in one. You see, there's something else in the background that wasn't planned. I just thought this thing in the background was so stupid and disgusting. I painted it over and painted it over like this, and just works. With this game, I only have a few rules. I want it to be beautiful. I want each form to be something nobody saw before, and I want it to be honest and like true to itself. And I want it to mystify people, but not in a scary way. So I just improvise. If you ever watch me doing these, they're just so fun. I don't stop. I don't think about anything. Just fucking find out. CM Kozeman, did you finish the grilled cheese painting? What was the grilled cheese painting? I don't remember. Tonya asks, do you have any abandoned art projects? How do you go back to them and motivate yourself? I actually have like only a few big projects going on at the same time. So my big projects these years are Snayad and All Tomorrows. I also have middle tier projects like these short stories and stuff. And I structure them in such a way that basically when one story is finished, I can move on and go back to Snayad or All Tomorrows or to my paintings. There have been a few cases where I made some projects, big projects, but stopped them. Not as much though, because I don't let myself go all over the place. But one of the stopped projects was actually something called Beneath a Thousand Suns, where a man walks in an infinite environment, encountering infinite creatures and worlds. It was just too big to handle. It was going to be a big, big story. So, so yeah, that's one abundant project. And if you support me on Patreon, you can read it. Oh, nice questions. How do you feel about painting on a live stream? I actually want to do it, but I think I need to set up a real rig, like a camera pointing straight down and a mic I could speak in. And that way, like, I need to like invest in some like camera stands and equipment and shit. So maybe when I go back to Istanbul, I'll arrange on doing something like this. Who knows? TK Sivgin says, hello, Memo, just so you're recording this. Hello, my friend. Michal Sadowski says, I always admired your authenticity. How do you keep being you in a world in which One is constantly bombarded with outside influence, people, family, work. Well, sometimes you have to put your foot down and sometimes you have to fight for it. And there's a whole acrimonious side of my personality that I will never get to show on stream or live. But sometimes you have to push back, you got to keep pushing people. That was one of the weirdest lessons I learned during my time at Cornell University. I was at this frat party and I went to this stupid frat party, but there was this jock guy and he basically like boom, like hit me with his shoulder. I was like, what an asshole. Then later on in the party, he found me and you're that glasses guy. Sorry for knocking you over, man. He was like, and I said, it's okay. And then he said, in this life, sometimes you just gotta push people. Sorry about that. Well, it was just one brief anecdote, but it taught me so much. Good morning, Mystic Mystery. Epialos says, what's the possibility of a physical All Tomorrow's book? Yes, when I rewrite and finish All Tomorrow's, it will be a physical book. I mean, it's going to be a legacy book, so. C Cyborg says, would you do more improvised stories like the Blue Gumbayun Crystal Resort? Maybe. Those are always more fun stories. They're like quirky and off the cuff. And actually, the short story I recently wrote, which you can read on Patreon, it's a more serious kind of short story, but yeah, I'm open to doing things like this. More questions about authenticity. Pepular asks, how do you keep your vision and scope so focused and clean? I find myself too scattered with inspirations and ideas. You have to prune, 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 prune. Look at the time you got in your hands. Which one of these projects am I more likely to succeed and enjoy with? And focus on that and cut aside the rest. I also have lots of inspirations to work on other stuff, but you just have to cut and run. Otherwise, you don't get nothing done. Any advice, Benny says, on dealing with hateful tendencies among friends, family, school, workplace? In the same way, cut people out. Don't be afraid. I mean, look, one of my biggest metrics, and this was with some of my close friends too, like a group of you are walking outside and I see a bug on the wall and I just stop to look at it or photograph it. And these people, like, they keep on walking. I just said, okay, fuck off. And these people have things to take, never things to give. They will never wait for you. They will never respect your interests. They probably don't even share the fidelity in which you view the world. So, like, fuck them, but also don't be hateful about it. Just, okay, I'm busy. You do you. It's their loss. You don't need them. You don't need anybody. You can also be by yourself. And sometimes, though, family, friends, they also may have things to like improve in you, though. And this has also happened. You just have to know when people are selfish and be prepared to like cut them off for it, but also always listen to them. Even when you've made up your mind, listen to what they're saying. Thomas Strimpa says, do you ever wish you took a different route in life, such as career, hobbies? 80% I'm happy with my choices. The other 10% like occurs in different parts, comes and goes, but everybody has this. Ultimately, even if you did take those parts, then you would be worried about what if you had taken this path. So it's not something I really think about. C Cyborg says, have you ever done graffiti? Yes, but not in a sort of like graffiti type. That's a whole other art form and has its own intricacies. But I did go out on like weird places and just paint cave art type stuff on the walls back in the day. One of my biggest was like I took this paddle boat to a small island and did a great like painting of something like a siren there. It was nice. TK Sivkin says, what are some pleasant aspects of space as opposed to the scary vastness everybody keeps talking about? I'll quote a Marilyn Manson song, in space, the stars are no nearer. I don't know, there's a... And plus, you float around, there's no gravity, that's fun. Hmm. Let's check some messages. TK Sivgin asks, what's the most exotic animal you've eaten? Probably alligator meat at Cornell University. They had a cajun night and I ate like 3 whole plates of the thing. It was beautiful. Evil Eye says, how do you get the energy to be an artist while working a day job? I also work a day job. I do the house chores mostly and like deal with life, bank stuff. I don't know. I'm always reminded of a quote by Kemal Atatürk when confronting this. He said, hiç durmamak üzere yola çıkanlar asla yorulmazlar. Which says, set out never to stop and you will never grow tired again. That's just... It's not a grind mentality. You just have to love working. Even if it's a shit work, you just... If I enjoy working, I'd be bored if I didn't work. In times when, like during COVID, when I couldn't get out of the house, I did a lot of rage cleaning, just scrubbing the toilets and shit. Have you heard they're making a new song movie? Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na, da-na-na, 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 da-na. Ah, I know, I'm too old for so, I think. Everybody rage cleans on occasion. All right, everyone, it's nearing 2 hours. I'm calling it a night. So any last questions or comments, let's take them. And then afterwards, I'm just gonna slowly. One more kiss, dear. One more time. Mm-mm. How is the new Snayat coming? What's the total number of creatures? More than 500 for sure. My aim is to have 1,000 or more because, if you're doing this just once, go all the way in. Take care of when you go, says Ornis. Take care, everyone. Have a nice night, a nice day. Next stream, I'll be a bit more early. See how that goes on. What's the most unhealthy thing you've eaten in your life, says Mystic Mystery? Has to be like some disgusting, like extreme vinegar Cheez-It puff kind of thing. I don't know. I have eaten cat food on occasions. It's nice. Like when our pet cat, I feed it, I always like take a bit for myself. Spinozar says, find a lot of bugs and sleep well. Thank you. Probably the coffee at 2 a.m. during this stream. It was not coffee, it was tea with milk in it. What's your cat name? Katrina. Where's that bitch? All right. Last few things. Good night, everyone. good night, good night, wherever you are. Good name for a cat, says C Cyborg. Okay. I think like words like shit, turd, in Turkish words like pitch, which means bastard, they're cute names for a cat. Hi, Kozman says rage Tyrannosaurus. Hi and good night. Good evening. Yes. Well, it's so hard to break away from you guys. You're so fun. Isn't it cool like weird people like us scattered around all over the world just having a nice evening or a day together? Popular says I have to try iguana, also known as tree chicken. Okay, maybe. Okay, everyone, that's that for tonight. Have a good night. I'm signing off wherever you are. Thanks for watching and participating. Goodbye for now.